Good morning. Welcome to the First Unitarian Church of Chicago, online worship. I am Monica Kling-Garcia, your Schug Ministerial Intern, and I'm so glad to welcome you to worship today. We are a Unitarian Universalist congregation, a community of children, youth, and adults, a people of many beliefs and traditions, bound not by the specific list of things we believe, but the values we share, and the mission to grow our souls and heal the world. Whether you are joining us online for the first time, or you've worshiped with us thousands of times, you are welcome here. Whether you believe in God some of the time, all of the time, or none of the time, you are welcome here. No matter how much money's in your pocket, no matter if you have a PhD, a GED, or no degree, you belong here. We are a people of many races and beliefs. We are a people of many genders and sexual orientations. All of you is sacred. All of you is welcome. You belong here. Due to the coronavirus pandemic, we must distance ourselves physically, but we can stay connected. In addition to our weekly worship on our YouTube channel, follow us on our Facebook page for fresh pastoral content during the week. We have several small groups meeting by phone and Zoom video conferencing for both connection and church business. To get involved, check your weekly email blasts or email the church office for more information. Contact information is on our website. If the economic hardships of the coronavirus are affecting you, the church is at your side. Our ministers can refer you to resources, as well as offering one-time grants from the minister's discretionary fund to the members and friends of this congregation. For more information, just contact the church office to be in touch with Reverend Teri or Reverend David. The CDC has recommended that everyone wear cloth masks whenever in large groups. Do you need a cloth mask? Or do you know how to sew them? Join our cloth mask exchange program. The link to sign up can be found in our weekly email or the video description down below. Throughout today's service, you can interact with one another through the comment section. Simply log into your account or create a new YouTube account to leave comments, reactions, and to share prayer requests.
Hi everyone, my name is Lisa Martin Edinger. It is so great to see everyone today. I'm here with Margie Ganwa. We are co-chairs of this year's annual pledge campaign, Together We Thrive. You might remember us from last year's campaign. Yep, you heard that right. It was an entire year ago. Seems like just the other day, right, Margie? Time flies when you're watching Netflix. Every year, we as a congregation have to come together, unite as one, gather collectively to pay our bills. This is done through our annual pledge drive. Your pledge is your best estimate of your ability to give in the upcoming fiscal year. Each team player puts forth on paper or online the amount they aspire to give so we as a congregation can make our budget and plan accordingly. Margie and I realize the timing of this coincides with an extraordinary, challenging moment in the history of our world. However, now more than any other period in our life, we need each other. We are in this as a united front. We are a team, a partnership that supports a bright and hopeful future. We will not only survive this moment, we will thrive in this moment. Together, we will rise up and be a beacon of hope and light the world needs now more than ever. If your circumstances change, you can always adjust your pledge. We are a loving, flexible, caring community that is in this together. For together, we thrive. Thank you.
I now invite you to be present to this moment, to center yourself here in your own home as our prelude begins. For our chalice lighting today, I invite you, if you feel so moved, to find something near you to light your own chalice with me. It doesn't have to be anything fancy. It can be whatever is near you right now, whether it be a candle, your cell phone, or maybe even flipping on a light switch or a lamp. We light our chalices as a symbol of this community, all the ways that we have stayed connected to each other and supported each other. This flame, the flames of all the chalices lit in our homes, symbolize how our church is more than just stone walls and meeting rooms. Church is all of us and comes with us wherever we are. I invite you now to join me in reciting our covenant. Love is the spirit of this church, and service its law. This is our great covenant, to dwell together in peace, to seek the truth in love, and to help one another. Now, it's time for us to warmly greet our neighbors in our chat box of friendship. Type a friendly message or use an emoji to let us know that you are here and say hello.
Good morning. At this time, please gather those who are young or young at heart and your furry friends, like this one, for a time for all ages. Thank you. Fred Rogers once said, "When I was a boy and I would see scary things in the news, my mother would say to me, 'Look for the helpers. You will always find people who are helping.'" Now, for kids, this sounds comforting, and for adults, it might sound a little bit like a call to action. But being cared for and caring for others is more reciprocal than we might give it credit for. We are all helpers, and we are all receivers of help sometimes. Now, it may be that sometimes it's easy to see that, and sometimes it's not. The following excerpt is used with permission from author and pastor Randy Hammer, who published this children's sermon in his book Everyone a Butterfly in 2004. Pastor Randy received his doctorate of ministry at Meadville Lombard here in Chicago and is currently the pastor at Chapel on the Hill in Oak Ridge, Tennessee. Heroes who help heroes. Each of us can help others to greatness. I am guessing that at least some of you have heard of Helen Keller. What do you know about Helen Keller? Well, before she was 2 years old, Helen became very ill. Her illness left her both blind and deaf. And that means, of course, that she couldn't see and that she couldn't hear. Just for a moment, try shutting your eyes so that it's dark. And cover your ears just for a moment with your hands so that you can't hear quite as well. And try and imagine for a moment what kind of world Helen Keller lived in. Did you try it? Even though Helen couldn't see or hear, Helen learned to read and speak. She was able to graduate from college and became a famous writer and speaker all over the world. Because of what she was able to do, Helen Keller is often thought of as a hero. But you know what? Helen is not the only hero in this story. She had someone to help her learn to read and write. Does anyone know who that special someone is? Don't go look it up. I'll tell you. It was another young woman by the name of Anne Sullivan. Anne worked with Helen by letting Helen feel her lips move when she talked and by drawing letters in the palm of Helen's hand. By helping Helen become a hero, Anne Sullivan was a hero herself. One lesson we learn from the story of Helen Keller and Anne Sullivan is that every one of us has the ability within us to help make others great. We can be heroes by helping others become heroes. Now, that is the end of our excerpt, but not the end of our story. Who are our heroes today? The short list of people that we consider heroes right now include healthcare workers, grocery store employees, delivery drivers, cleaning staff, and all other essential workers. To all those of you who work with the public, thank you 1,000,000 times over. Please note that I don't use the word hero as a way of saying that I expect those people to make a sacrifice of their time, love, and hard work. I only say it to show an appreciation of what they are giving. And what about the people who support them? Just like Helen Keller, all those who are doing great things, big and small, have had help along the way. I don't just mean the teachers who taught the medical staff, not just the loved ones who help keep those essential workers well and energetic and going, not just the mechanics helping to keep essential vehicles on the road. It is also you. If you are staying home, you are a hero. If you are staying 6 feet apart from people outside of your home, you are helping. If you are wearing a mask, washing your hands, and taking care of yourself and those you love, you are doing something amazing. And it might feel little, but it's not. Giving and accepting help is a beautiful thing. We are all in this together. One last time to our heroes and to the heroes that make them able to be who they are and do what they do. Thank you, thank you, thank you.
Will you join me in a spirit of prayer and meditation? To breathe deep the breath of life and be here now. Will you take a breath with me? Be here now means recenter yourself in the world again. It means step out of your head all the anxieties or the resentment or the boredom or the worry. Set that down just for a moment. Don't get rid of it. Don't pretend it's not there. Just set it down. Step back from it slowly like a wild animal and breathe deep. Spirit of life and love, known by many names, called God, called love, called life itself. Spirit of love beyond all naming, we hold in our hearts this morning and we remember parents and teachers and all those whose primary spiritual practice is caring for children. We're with you. We're with you if you can't be with the kids who you know and love. We're with you if you are too much with the kids that you know and love. We pray and we remember this morning all those who live with grief and with chronic pain, with mental disability, with addiction, who are immunosuppressed, who have heart and lung conditions, diabetes, unseen illnesses. We're with you. We're with your loved ones. For our neighbors in prisons and in nursing homes who are at greater risk of infection, who live with a greater isolation, we're with you. For those who care for family in ill health, those who care for loved ones while ill themselves, those who can't see loved ones because of mandatory confinement, we're with you. We're all in this. It's hard. For you who are struggling to stay afloat in the middle of financial insecurity, in the middle of job insecurity, who are losing health insurance, we're with you. We hold in our hearts this morning those plagued by loneliness, a tedium that feels like powerlessness. And we remember and we pray for all those working tirelessly, doctors and nurses, paramedics and pharmacists, researchers, and everyone who makes healthcare possible, administrative assistants and janitors, people cleaning the facilities and cooking the foods. Everyone counts. Everyone makes this possible. And we remember that our lives are blessed by those who knowingly and with curiosity and courage face their final days. We're with you, and we love you. Will you breathe with me? we'll be together in silence for 7 breaths. It's a strange thing maybe to be together apart in silence, breathing together in front of our computer monitors, phones, screens, whatever they are. When I close my eyes and breathe, though, I imagine you all together. I imagine the sound of the room in our sanctuary when we're silent together in the middle of the prayer, when we're pausing, and it's not a lack of noise, it's not an emptiness, it's not an absence of sound, but it's a change. You can feel the room shift. You can feel everyone's intention slip deeper. You can feel the tension ease just a little bit. That's what I hope for you this morning. Friends, I invite you to add into the comment box anyone you wish to lift up in prayer, anyone you wish to lift up in the love, the support of this community, remembering that the comments are public. I know this rose will open. I know my fears will burn away. I know my soul will unfurl its wings. I know this rose will open. Amen.
Find the stillness, hold the stillness, let the stillness carry me. Find the silence, hold the silence, let the silence carry me. In the Spirit, by the Spirit.
Friends, as I am here worshiping with you today, I am struck by how the world has changed since I last led worship for you all in March. It's now officially been over a month since the state of Illinois officially issued their stay-at-home order, and things feel a lot different since then. We've been practicing social distancing for a while now, and have been staying away from each other as much as possible. However, also in this time of physical distancing, we're finding new ways to connect socially as a community. For me, phone calls, video chats, and text messages have all kept me connected with my friends and family on a more regular basis than before we were quarantined. In this time of quarantine, being connected while physically distant begs the question, what does it really mean to be in community? I found some unexpected inspiration on this topic from the book of Ruth in the Bible, one of our sources as Unitarian Universalists. You may have heard at least part of the book of Ruth before, because it is a passage that's often quoted in weddings. It goes like this: "Do not press me to leave you or to turn back from following you. Where you go, I will go. Where you lodge, I will lodge. Your people shall be my people, and your God my God." Now, despite this being used frequently in weddings, it's not actually a romantic passage, but rather is the story of two women, Naomi and Ruth, and their promise to be there for one another through difficult times. Naomi was a woman who lived in the city of Moab with her two daughters-in-law, Ruth and Orpah, after their husbands died. The three women bonded during this time of grief and loss and became their own tight-knit family. However, during these biblical times, three widowed women living together came with hardships. Finding work was difficult, as was finding a new husband to bring them financial and social safety. Eventually, Naomi realized that as a widow of her age, she was too old to remarry, and encouraged Ruth and Orpah to return to their families for a better life. Orpah left with great sadness, because she knew that life was going to be very difficult for Naomi alone. Ruth, however, decided to stay. She recognized that together, they are community, a family. Ruth saw that in that moment, Naomi needed someone to go on this journey with her, to do the work in the fields, and someone to care for her. This is where Ruth declared that she will stay with Naomi. "Do not press me to leave you or turn back from following you. Where you go, I will go." Naomi recognized that as much as she wanted to do this alone, she needed the help of her daughter-in-law. She accepted Ruth's offer, and the two of them traveled to their new home together. This story is a beautiful testament to those we choose to be in community with. In this story, Ruth saw that Naomi needed a companion on her journey, and Naomi accepted this help. Throughout our own lives, there are times when we, like Ruth, and others when we are like Naomi. Where part of being in community means that there will be times where we need to care for others, and times when we are the ones who need to be cared for. In times like these, when crisis is around us, we feel an increased need to support one another. As humans, we often feel the inherent desire to react to the situation at hand, to do something positive, and engage in activities that give us a sense of control to make the best outcome possible. Things like checking in on people, delivering some groceries, or even sewing cloth masks for those in need. They also highlight something that has been there and important all along. We need each other, and sometimes we need help. It's easy to think that in order to help someone, we have to do something huge, something that will change a person's life in a big, grandiose way. But often, help can come from an action as simple as seeing where someone is at, reaching out, and going along on their journey for a time. In a pre-pandemic world, a 4-year-old named Nora made a difference in someone's life just by seeing them and saying hello. Nora and her mom Tara were at the supermarket together on a very special day, Nora's birthday. They turned a corner into an aisle, Nora in her favorite purple birthday dress, and saw a man in his 80s, looking both angry and sad. Nora saw him and said, "Hello, old person. Today is my birthday." The man looked around, saw she was talking to him, and replied, "Well, hi, little lady. How old are you today?" He introduced himself as Mr. Dan, and they talked for a little bit before Nora asked for a picture with him for her birthday. He agreed and smiled for the photo. What Tara and Nora didn't know at the time was that Dan had just lost his wife of many years, and that photo was the first time he had smiled since her death. Mr. Dan still sees Nora and Tara quite regularly, and they were all interviewed for the radio show Kind World about their story. When asked why she approached Mr. Dan that day, Nora replied, "I thought he needed a friend because he was sad." Dan reflected, "Nora got me out of the loop, gave me something to live for. It's like the sun came out, you know?" That small action of little Nora saying hello to a stranger at a grocery store helped change Mr. Dan's life for the better. She saw that Dan needed someone to notice him and to be friendly to him, even though he was so desperately trying to go through it alone. As we support each other in our own communities, whether it be family, friends, or maybe neighbors we don't know quite well, it is important not to forget that sometimes the greatest gifts we can give are not the ones from the grocery store or Amazon. Instead, they are the moments when we make sure someone knows that they are not alone. It's often a lot easier to offer help to someone else than it is to ask for help yourself, however. Whether it be in a world with or without a pandemic, the natural tendency is to want to be someone who can help others, but doesn't need help themselves. But unfortunately, that's not always how things work out. There are always times in our lives where whatever journey we are on is not one we can go through alone. And when we allow ourselves to not just be there for others or to try to go through it alone, but instead allow ourselves to be cared for by our community, amazing things can happen. A great example of this is the story of Laura, a high school teacher in Arizona. Laura loves her students and loves teaching. When her students accidentally call her mom, she takes it as a badge of pride to know that her kids see her as someone who is there for them and supports them. Her care for her students is the driving force of her vocation as a teacher. But in May of 2019, tragedy struck when her 24-year-old cousin and best friend died of cancer. Laura struggled with the loss of someone so close and had to take leave from the job she loved so much. She took extended bereavement, leaving her class with a substitute teacher. What she didn't know was that while she was away, her students passed around notebooks every day, writing notes of encouragement and sympathy for their teacher, Laura. As the weeks passed, the notebooks continued to be filled with heartfelt messages, keeping their beloved teacher present in their hearts as she was away. When Laura returned, she was presented with the notebooks, filled with notes in all different colored pens and different penmanship, showing the care and support of her students during this time. While normally Laura was the one supporting and caring for her students, this time of grief in Laura's life allowed her to experience being cared for. While a small gesture, it is one that Laura still has to this day. Anytime she feels that things were slipping away from her, she still reads those notes. Laura, the caring person that she is, likely wasn't expecting the kind of support that she got from her students, but was open to receive it. Now, months later, those notebooks still help her and support her as she continues to grieve and heal from her loss. In our own lives, there will be times when we need our community, our people, to help us. This pandemic is a difficult time, and one which will not be over soon. We are all going to experience times when we need help, whether we are grieving a loss like Laura or experiencing a big change alone like Naomi did. We will all have times where we need help from someone else. Other times, we will have opportunities to see a need in someone else and help. Whether it be helping someone close to us like Ruth did, or providing help for someone we don't yet know like Nora did, there will be times when we are able and ready that we can make a difference for someone else in our community. During this time, we will both be the helper and the one being helped. And that relationship, that give and take, that is what is at the heart of community. When we are together, the physical space of church is symbolic of a space where you can come as you are, a place where the members of this community can be together and support each other. In this time of virtual church, that feeling of walking into a space that supports you and that cares for you doesn't feel the same way as it does in our building of stone. But the community and the support, that's still here. Your ministry team, your staff, your fellow members, we are all here for you, for each other. And while physically distant, we are still part of that interconnected web of creation. We may not be able to physically go where you go, but as a community, we can support each other in all the ways that we can. Physically distant, yet interconnected.
Hi, thanks for joining us for our online Sunday morning worship today. We're always glad to have you with us. The COVID-19 pandemic has severe financial impacts around the globe, and we know that affects many of our members and friends. If you find yourself in a time of financial insecurity, please reach out to Reverend David or myself. The Minister's Discretionary Fund is there to help. The church is at your side. If you are financially secure in this time, I ask that you consider giving to the church in the weekly offering, as well as maintaining your pledge payments and capital campaign payments. If possible, if you can increase your giving to offset those who aren't able to give at this time, it will help our church maintain operations during a time in which our revenue is cut significantly due to loss of rental income and loss of our members' and friends' ability to give right now. There are a number of ways to give. We tried to make this as easy as possible. If you have any questions, contact the church office. Go to our website, firstuchicago.org. Scroll down to the donate button, click there, and you'll be taken step by step to give a one-time offering, to give an offering to the Minister's Discretionary Fund, or to continue making pledge payments or capital campaign payments. Another option is text to give. This is a great way to give quickly and easily with no fuss. The first time you text to give, you'll fill out contact and payment information. But if you save that contact in your phone's contacts, then the next time, just go to that number, click simply the dollar amount, and you're done. That's my favorite way to do the weekly offering. Please know that our pledge campaign for the fiscal year 2021 is just kicking off. It may seem that that's a lot going on right now, but we do need to plan our budget for the coming year so that we can present that to you at our annual meeting and make the best plans we can, so that when we come back from this time of stay-at-home orders and quarantine, we have a church home to come back to, a building that is maintained. And right now, the ministry of the church and the work of your staff team is more vital than ever. So please give as generously as you are able, and may the church be worthy of your gifts now and in time to come. Thank you.